Hello all, and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Today we are diving into our third community pick video. All month, you, the viewers, have voted for which villain-turned-hero you would like to see in the spotlight. And the winner is none other than Greed from Full Metal Alchemist. Greed was created as an embodiment of Father's unrelenting avarice. Unsurprisingly, that didn't go too well. Greed wasn't exactly built for a subservient role, and chose instead to strike out on his own in pursuit of his own desires. For much of the story, Greed seemed like an unstoppable force of antagonism until his bonded body, Ling Yao, showed him something deeper. Wealth, power, and fame weren't what Greed truly craved. What he really wanted was the one thing even a homunculus could struggle to achieve: loyal friends who would stand by him through thick and thin. With Ling and his companions, Greed found a purpose far greater than himself, ultimately turning against his creator to save the world and fulfill his deepest wish. So beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. So, what do we need to make the ultimate shield? First, we need the ultimate shield itself. Greed's signature ability is manipulating the carbon in his body, turning himself into an impenetrable force that's nearly impossible to damage. Next, we'll need to replicate the powers of a homunculus. This means abilities like going without food or sleep, and of course, regenerating from any damage enemies somehow manage to inflict on us. Finally, it's not just Greed's combat abilities that make him so dangerous. He's also a master manipulator, capable of gathering followers who hang on his every word and loyal to fight for his cause. For our ancestry, we hit a bit of a snag. Homunculi aren't a playable ancestry in Pathfinder, so we'll have to go with the next best thing. Father created the homunculi through experiments on living souls, crafting philosopher's stones before implanting them into human hosts that embodied his vices. That level of eldritch experimentation sounds an awful like flesh warp to me. As a flesh warp, we're about as close to unkillable as any ancestry gets, starting with 10 hit points. We can choose to either be medium or small, but since Edward is the only halfling in the Full Metal Alchemist universe, we'll go with medium. We get a boost to strength and constitution with no ability flaws holding us back. To really sell the homunculus vibe, we'll take the created flesh warp heritage, which removes the need to eat and gives us a +2 circumstance bonus to saving throws against disease. For our background, we're going to go with the bandit background to reflect Greed's time striking out on his own and building his crew. This background gives us a boost to both constitution and charisma, fitting for someone as resilient and smooth-talking as Greed. We gain training in intimidation and city lore, so we'll always know how to find the perfect spot to set out a hideout. Lastly, we get the group coercion skill feat. Because invaluables are guarded by more than one person, you need to know how to handle the situation and make them see things your way. Next, we choose a class. Our main requirement is achieving legendary armor class. That narrows it down to champion or monk. And since all the armor Greed wears is his actual body, the monk class is a perfect fit. As a monk, we gain 10 hit points plus our constitution modifier per level, in training and perception, so we'll stay sharp on the battlefield. We also start expert proficiency in unarmored defense and all saving throws, making us incredibly resilient even against magical attacks enemies might throw our way. For our skills, we get 3 plus our intelligence modifier in trained skills. Let's grab Arcana, Nature, and Occultism to cover every base. No matter how your GM interprets Full Metal Alchemist's alchemy system, you're covered. Thievery, so we can function as a proper bandit. Athletics, to ensure we can hold our own in combat. Finally, we get training in unarmed attacks, because being an immovable wall means nothing if you can't deal some serious damage yourself. For our starting attributes, we'll distribute them as follows. Strength at a +3. Homunculi are naturally strong, and Greed is no exception. Dexterity's at a +0. Dodging attacks isn't really Greed's style. Constitution is at a +3. Surviving even the strongest attacks is the entire point of this build. Intelligence is at a +1. While we are not a genius, Greed is one of the few characters who knows who Father is and understands his grand plan. Wisdom is at a +0. Despite being designed to dominate others, Greed ends up sharing a body with a pampered prince. Charisma is at a +2. Attracting loyal followers requires a good amount of charisma, and Greed certainly knows how to win people over. At level 1, we'll take the Living Weapon Ancestry feat, granting us a spiked fist attack. This attack functions just like a regular punch, but deals piercing damage and has the versatile slashing trait, giving us a way to deal all 3 types of physical damage right from the start. Next, we get our core monk features. Flurry of Blows lets us make 2 unarmed strikes with a single action, combining the damage before applying resistances. Powerful Fist increases our fist damage to 1d6 and removes the non-lethal trait, making our punches deadly. For our class feat, we will take Mountain Stance. This stance gives us a +4 item bonus to AC while unarmored, and allows us to use the Falling Stone Strikes, which does 1d8 bludgeoning damage, and gain the Forceful trait. This trait increases the damage of our strikes as we make multiple attacks in a single round, letting us hit harder the more aggressive we are. At level 2, we pick up the Stone Brawler dedication, granting us access to Stone Striker stance. For now though, this stance is inferior to Mountain Stance, so we won't focus on it just yet. However, we do get Eyes of the City, which lets us track down people using either diplomacy or society. Just ask around, has a large metal man entered town? He's pretty hard to miss. At level 3, we pick up Toughness, which should come as no surprise to anyone who's watched more than 2 of these videos. We also gain 2 more monk features at this level. Mystic Strikes makes our attacks count as magical, which is essential for bypassing resistances to physical damage. Incredible Movement boosts our movement speed to insane levels as we level up, making us even harder to pin down or escape from. At level 4, Stone Striker stance really starts to pay off with the Stony Skin class feat. Now, while in Stone Striker dedication, we gain resistance to all physical damage equal to the number of feats we've taken in the Stone Brawler archetype. This means we have a choice. Either go into Stone Striker stance to reduce the damage we take, or stay in Mountain Stance to boost our AC to the point where we can hopefully ignore most of the damage altogether. We also pick up the Quick Coercion feat, reducing the time it takes to boss people around from 1 minute to 1 round. Because when you're Greed, you want to get results fast. Greed doesn't like letting his ultimate shield cover his whole body. It'd be a shame to hide that handsome face. But at level 5, at least he can make full use of his striking new look with the Startling Appearance Ancestry feat. This gives us Training in Intimidation, or another skill of our choice, and gets us the Intimidating Glare skill feat, letting us demoralize enemies without needing to speak their language, because fear is universal. We also get some major monk upgrades. Perception Expertise increases our perception proficiency to Expert, and Expert Strike does the same thing for our unarmed strikes, making us even deadlier in melee. At level 6, we toughen up even more with Stony Deflection, letting us spend an action while in Stoner Strike stance to increase our AC by 2. Perfect for those moments when you know you're going to get hit, but you at least want to be sure you don't get critically hit. Wrath, I'm looking at you. We also pick up Dirty Trick, allowing us to make a thievery check to inflict the clumsy condition on an enemy for 1 round, or until they waste an action removing it. Because if Greed can't overpower you, he'll make sure he outmaneuvers you. At level 9, we take the General feat Fast Recovery, letting us recover from diseases and poisons twice as fast and regain double the hit points when resting. And isn't that basically what regeneration is? Really fast recovery? Okay, I know that's a stretch, but don't worry. We'll get to true regeneration soon enough. Turns out, it's a pretty high level ability. In the meantime, we get our first path to perfection, increasing one of our saving throws to master and making all successful saves with that save automatically upgrade to critical successes. We're choosing Fortitude, ensuring Greed can shrug off even the most devastating attacks. To top off this level, we grab Weapon Specialization, giving us a flat damage boost to our unarmed strikes, because sometimes you just need to punch even harder. At level 8, we push our ultimate shield to the next level with Iron Blood stance. This stance gives us resistance to all damage, not just physical damage like we get from Stone Striker stance. We also get the parry trait on our Iron Sweep strikes, allowing us to use an action in order to grant ourselves a +1 circumstance bonus to our AC. And the Sweep trait gives us a +1 bonus when we attack multiple foes in the same round, making it a good option for crowd control. But we aren't content on just getting a new stance at this level. Intimidating Prowess ensures that if a foe isn't afraid of our terrifying appearance, they will definitely be afraid of our monstrous strength. At level 9, our hands become so tough that we can carve handholds into any surface with the Grippling Limbs Ancestry feat, giving us a 15-foot climb speed at all times. Monks already have incredible mobility, but this just pushes us into full-blown superhuman territory. We also unlock 2 more monk features. Metal Strikes makes our attacks count as cold iron and silver, which is a situational thing, but can be a lifesaver when dealing with demons, devils, or fae, who thought they were safe from our fists. Monk Expertise increases our class CC to Expert, which, let's be honest, is pretty useless for us. But hey, at least it sounds cool. By level 10, I think we've pushed our defenses to the absolute pinnacle of human ability. Luckily for us, we aren't quite human, so let's take Magus education and push things even further. This gives us 2 prepared cantrips. Gouging Claw, which lets us spend 2 actions to make a single big attack instead of 3 more accurate ones that would actually deal more damage. So yeah, I'm sure you'll be using it all the time. Shield, on the other hand, is actually fantastic. It stacks with Mountain Stance AC bonus and gives us a shield block reaction, letting us reduce damage far beyond what our resistances alone can handle. Oh, and we're picking up Quick Jump, because what's an anime fight without characters leaping across the battlefield like absolute maniacs? At level 11, we grab the Die Hard General feat. Still not quite regeneration, but hey, it gets us one step closer to our quest for true immortality. Or was that Link's quest? Either way, it means we refuse to die, clinging to life even at dying 4 instead of just kneeling over like some weakling. We also get our second path to perfection, granting us the same benefits as before, but this time for reflex saves instead of fortitude, because even if we don't dodge often, when we do it perfectly. At level 12, we finally get some real spell slots. Go ahead and read the spellcasting archetype rules if you really want to know how many spells we can learn. But honestly, we only need 1, Shielded Arm, which gives us a slightly weaker AC boost than the shield cantrip, but it lasts 10 times longer, and it lets us shield block multiple times per combat. So yeah, I think I'll make that trade. To round out the level, we grab Lasting Coercion, ensuring that when we bend people to our will, they stay bent. Because what's an immortal, indestructible warlord without a loyal following of henchmen doing its bidding? At level 13, we tap into whatever senses our host might have with the Augment Senses Ancestry feat. This lets us scan larger areas when searching for hidden creatures or objects, but more importantly, it makes us completely immune to being flanked. And all we had to do was give up control of our own body to do it? Wait, is the embodiment of Avarice actually learning to share? We also pick up Graceful Master and Master Strikes, pushing both our unarmed defense and unarmed strikes to master proficiency. Because at this point, we aren't just tough, we're a walking fortress of destruction. At level 14, we gain Expert Magus spellcasting, unlocking higher level spell slots. Most of these will be filled with heightened Shielded Arm, because why fix what isn't broken? But we do make one very important exception, Mountain Resilience, which hardens our skin into stone, granting us resistance against all physical attacks. If that doesn't sound incredibly familiar, then either you haven't been paying attention, or you just don't know greed that well. And either way, thanks for watching these videos, it really helps out our channel. Oh, and we grab Powerful Leap, letting us leap over 10 feet of difficult terrain in a single bound. At level 15, we take Adopted Ancestry, a surprise tool that will help us later. We also grab Greater Weapon Specialization to give our strikes an extra damage boost. And to top it all off, we get our third path to perfection, pushing our fortitude saves to legendary. This means we reduce critical failures to regular failures and take half damage on failed fortitude saves, because at this point, the only way you're going down is if the universe itself decides you should. At level 16, we pick up Fuse Stance, because why choose between Mountain Stance and Ironblood Stance when we can just have both? That's right, we now get an increased AC and damage reduction, making us even more of an unstoppable tank. We also grab Catfall, letting us treat falls as 10 feet shorter. Sure, it only reduces fall damage, but at this point, if gravity itself wants to take us down, it better start trying a heck of a lot harder. At level 17, our Adapted Ancestry feat finally pays off. Since none of the Fleshwarp feats really cut it, we are going to make use of the Adapted Ancestry feat to reach into Starfinder content, with the Barathu feat combined, letting us share a body with a willing ally. That's right. Now we can extend the benefits of our ultimate shield to someone else, granting them greater cover and access to our movement speeds. If your GM isn't on board with Starfinder content, just swap it out for another Ancestry feat. There's plenty of solid options. On top of that, we pick up Adamantine Strikes, because our fists weren't hard enough already, and Graceful Legend, pushing our AC to legendary. At level 18, we grab Master Mage's spellcasting, letting us heighten our spells to 7th rank. We also take Terrifying Resistance, which gives us a +1 circumstance bonus to all saves against enemies we've demoralized in the last 24 hours. Honestly, I stopped reading after increases our resistances. At level 19, we take Numb to Death, which restores hit points equal to our level when we get back up from 0 hit points once per day. Sounds cool. But let's be real, If we're hitting 0 hit points, something has gone horribly wrong. More importantly, we grab Perfected Form, making it impossible to roll less than a 10 on our first strike each round. And finally, at level 20, we take our capstone feat, Golden Body, because what's better than being indestructible? Being indestructible while hitting like a meteor. All our unarmed attacks gain a deadly D12 trait, because our punches weren't already terrifying enough. We finally get Fast Healing 20, meaning we regenerate 20 hit points at the start of every turn. It took us 20 levels, but we finally got our regeneration. Oh, and we picked up the Charlatan skill feat, because even though we are an unkillable monster, we are an unkillable monster who just wants a friend. Alright, it's pros and cons time. We've worked hard to make a level 20 unkillable monster, and I think we've succeeded. We have a legendary armor proficiency resistance to all damage, several ways to reduce damage further, and the ability to regenerate damage that we do take. And we don't have to give up damage for all those attacks. Flurry of Blows ensures we can usually get out 2 strikes, and Powerful Fist mixed with greater weapon specialization ensures that those attacks hurt. And finally, the monk feature Incredible Movement makes us incredibly mobile for no feat costs. For cons, we lean into 3 different stances, and we can't combine the benefits of those stances until level 16, meaning we spend the majority of the game picking and choosing what bonuses we take. Next, our dexterity investment isn't that great. Sure, there's no need to dodge attacks when you can tank anything thrown your way, but the lack of dexterity score certainly affects our reflex saves and our AoE mitigation. And finally, you know what else ensures that you're safe from the most direct attacks? A bow. Seriously, if you want to be immune to the most martial attacks, get a ranged option. Thank you guys so much for watching our video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and be on the lookout for our next community pick build.